Hello, so today we are looking at honour-shame culture in the first century Mediterranean and how this foundational social phenomena shaped the world in which Jesus Christ himself grew up in. It is becoming an accepted fact that honour and shame were pivotal values in antiquity that structured the daily lives of people around the Mediterranean, including Jesus and his disciples. Think of understanding honour-shame culture as an extra lens to look through in order to see elements of the world that you could not see before. So one of the first things to understand is that our society tends to be about the individual. We celebrate individuals and we decide values for ourselves, which is totally foreign and alien to the people of the New Testament. An honour-shame system is all about the interests of the collective. And honour-shame are social values given by the group and defined by the group. An individual either brought shame or honour to the group by embodying or not embodying the values of the whole. Our society tends to be geared towards what is good for me and mine, rather than in the honour-shame culture. It was all about what is good for we and ours, what brings honour to the whole group.
The social values of honour and dishonour were foundational to the first century culture, whether Roman, Greek, Egyptian or Jewish. A person born into that culture was led from childhood to seek honour and to avoid disgrace.
So you begin to see how our social world impacts our understanding of the Gospels and the kind of false cultural presuppositions we might bring to the text, which then in turn colours the meaning we impose on the text, which may be possibly vastly different to the meaning the writer had in the first place. Honour was either ascribed to you by being born into the right family, being born into the right race or gender, or given by an authority, or honour could be acquired, perhaps by a military feat, or winning an athletic contest, even by whom you sat beside at a banquet. In an honour-shame culture where one sat was often of significance. So that's illustrated really well in this story here where James and John are looking to sit at the left and the right hand of Jesus. Obviously, if they're sitting at the left and the right hand of Jesus when he's in glory, they will attain honour, and obviously their honour will be greater than those who are not sitting at his left and the right. Those sitting further away or not sitting at the same table will obviously be of a lesser honour. And so Jesus goes on to teach them a great lesson here, saying that if you want to gain honour in the kingdom of heaven, it's done actually by serving others and becoming the least, not trying to become great. So that in itself is where Jesus is turning the social values of that time period upside down. And of course, throughout the Gospels, we see Jesus chooses to sit with sinners. This is not done by accident. This is quite a bold and radical move, because if you sat next to the wrong people, it was often a sign of shame and did not bring honour.
One of the issues with the honour-shame culture in the first century Mediterranean was that there were so many different groups and subgroups overlapping each other, and each group was defining honour in their own ways. At a basic level, you had, the Romans and the Jews. So you had the Romans who were worshipping many gods and the Jews who were monotheistic. So you have these different cultures overlapping. And so you got also the Greeks that were there, and Egyptians, and even amongst the Jews you had different subgroups like the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the Herodians. And so you have this big melting pot of social interactions and all these different groups, and each defining honour in their own way. And so they're all living together in this small little area, and each one's trying to stay within the limits of what was honourable for their group. I think this is well illustrated in the story of Jesus as he faces off against the Herodians and the Pharisees in a public battle for honour in the form of a verbal debate and display of rhetoric skill. These social interactions were a common way in which one could augment one's honour. So the Pharisees and the Herodians come together. Here we see two different groups, two different ways of doing things, yet they come together in a common cause to get rid of Jesus. And so they try to trap him with a question. Teacher, we know that you speak and teach what is right, and that you show partiality, but teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not? And so he says, show me a denarius. Whose image and inscription are on it? Caesar's, they replied. He said to them, then give back to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. They were unable to trap him in what he had said there in public, and were astonished by his answer. They became silent. They became shamed. They brought dishonor upon themselves. Here they were trying to catch him out, because if he says, yes, pay taxes, then he's therefore not being honourable towards the God of the Jews, which he was. But if he says, no, don't pay taxes, well, then he's not showing honour to Caesar. And they can use that against him and say to the Romans, hey, look, this guy is going around teaching that you shouldn't pay taxes, which he's accused of in Luke chapter 23. But his answer, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God, is a great answer, and they put to silent and they have nothing to say, and they basically have to walk away with their tail between their legs. Honour to Jesus, shame to them.
The fact that Jesus was so regularly challenged indicates, at least on the narrative level, that he was a very honourable person who was worthy of allegiance and loyalty. It is to his credit that he was both envied and challenged. So now when we understand honour-shame culture, it adds so much more depth to our understanding of the New Testament, but also our appreciation for just how awesome Jesus was as he navigated and dominated, really, the honour-shame arena so quickly, yet never for fame, and never compromising the values of the kingdom of God.